Perfect.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Occupy Fantasy Underdog Fantasy Best Ball Streams. I'm your host Chuck Silver with my co-host Moose. How we doing, Moose?
Good. How you doing, Chuck? Glad to be back on stream with you.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to do a stream with you today. We have a new contest, which is exciting. Weekly winners. Hayden Winks, Underdog social media guy, mentioned a couple days ago that his favorite contest of the summer hasn't been posted yet. They announced it yesterday, and they posted it today. So we're going to draft weekly winners today. Just get into it. There's just not that much information out there, right? There hasn't been a tournament like this before. So do you have any initial thoughts on how we want to try to attack this?
Yeah, it was crazy because we had the Stack Seeker on Occupy Fantasy. We track ADP and the playoff opponents, and so I'm thinking to myself when I saw the announcement, oh, this is going to be great. I love this, and then I took a step back and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know actually how to play this. So, like, do you want to mega like my first thought process, which think is wrong now, but it's like you want to super stack a game and hope that game just goes off somehow. Then I was like, I feel like then you're losing if you keep, you have 4, 5, 6 players from an explosive team. I still think you're undercutting some of that sometimes. So I still think you stack, but I'm wondering if you just get a shit ton of mini stacks. So like if you get like a Kelsey Mahomes, you get a AJ Brown Hurts or Chase Burrow, like a bunch of mini stacks, 2 to 3 mini stacks, and hope that throughout the season these explosive combos can get you to a weekly winner.
Yeah, I like that. I saw Justin Herzig talking about it. He was the winner of Best Ball Mania 1, pretty sure. And he mentioned that he kind of likes the idea of just going one elite QB, one elite tight end. He thinks that elite QBs and elite tight ends are more powerful in this format since it's not, they have a higher weekly upside, right? And then something about stacking the divisions, just get more games of correlation. So let's just jump into it.
I think that makes sense too. Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's hope it fills up pretty quick.
Yeah, great contest. I'm wondering how long this will be open for. Just open today. Oh, well, that information's gone. But let's look at the rules real quick, just in case there's anything in here. So week 17, 16, 15 playoffs do not matter. We want to just... So, like, if you've been watching the streams, a lot of our strategy has to do with stacking and correlation. Those are the two main things, and ADP value. And, like, stacking is still important. We still want to get that ADP value. But like we don't care about week 15, 16, 17 specifically anymore.
Exactly, yeah, which is when I was like, oh, shit, I don't think we can use the Stack Seeker really for that. And Chuck, I think the tool that you use, the one plugin, is actually going to help us out for this draft, I think, right? I think we were talking about it a little bit before. If you want to tell the crowd what you got going on.
Yeah, so if you guys have been watching the streams, I use the Spike Week extension. Great tool. And usually we'll have the 15, 16, 17 matchups up here so that I can easily just look and see who has that correlation with the other guys on my team. They did add a feature already specifically for this kind of thing where it will show, like it's not going to show in the first few picks, but let's say we're down to like Miles Sanders and we have 5 picks already made. It'll show us how many games this guy has with our players, right? So we can still stack that correlation, but it's just going to be a little bit different because it's not going to be aiming for specific weeks. And then the other thing I saw on strategy people are talking about already is really stacking your bye weeks. So like, I think there were 2 specific bye weeks that were really popular. It might have been 7 and 13, maybe. Maybe
I was going to say 13. Yeah, probably 13 because I know in a lot of best ball drafts I make the mistake of, oh shit, I have nothing in 13.
Yeah, and so if we just punt that bye week, like we're not competing for prizes that week, but maybe it makes us a little bit stronger on each of the other weeks. And also 0 RB should be pretty powerful here. If you have, we've been targeting elite receivers, and now if you're taking an elite QB, maybe an elite tight end or mid-range tight end, you can just punt off running back and just hope that in the second half of the season, your 0 RB targets end up being the starters. If they give you, 15 fantasy points in those later weeks and you still have the top receivers, then I think you're in a pretty great spot.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. And so it looks like you got the 5th spot. And so you talked about elite tight ends, elite quarterbacks. And it looks like Kelsey is kind of like an opportunity that might come up. I don't know if he's. I guess his ADP is a little bit higher in this round in this format than others. So I'm curious if he'll fall to us or if there's anyone else in particular that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think I would have went with Kelsey and tried to stack him with Mahomes. Try to take advantage of that real quick, but Kelsey went there. It's kind of weird that the ADPs are slightly different from Best Ball Mania. I understand they'll adjust. It's a slightly different strategy, but I don't know if the top picks should
Yeah,
even be different at all, right?
I don't think so. No, maybe if we're doing the like maybe like McCaffrey or Eckler, they might
Hmm.
fall down a little bit. But um, yeah, I'm curious. So what do you think then? Do you think like AJ Brown and or
Try to get Jalen Hurts.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Uh, I panicked. I went with Tyreek. It just feels kind of weird
That's fine.
picking
That's fine.
AJ Brown over Tyreek, right? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it can definitely be tough. I like it can be tough though because like I'm used to the best ball mania, and now I'm trying to figure out to how do I get Aaron Rodgers? How do I get like Lamar Jackson like the playoff weeks? So and that's
Mm.
very tough and it feels very gross. That's why I was thinking in that mindset. I do think I have to get out of that though. Uh, for the run back though, so do you think that? So yeah, so I'm curious. What's your thought on the run back? Are you trying to maybe hope out for like? Let me pull up the division matchups here and everything. But someone like Garrett Wilson, maybe I see that he. I'm just trying to figure out
Let's see. Let's plug it into
things.
the stack seeker here.
Okay, yeah,
Let's see what we get. Yeah, because actually, my first thought was, all right, we'll just grab Mark Andrews in the third round, but that doesn't matter as much right now, right? Or
yeah.
maybe it does. I don't know. Miami. All right, so I guess the week 15, 16, 17 opponents don't matter too much here. I had a chart that had the division matchups. Maybe that's a little bit more something that we can look at right now.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, see, Mahomes went pretty early. Hurts. Yeah, so we wouldn't have gotten Hurts on the run back anyway. So that's cool.
Okay, so that works out because I would have been pretty. I mean, it just seems like kind of a disaster, right? Taking Brown over Tyreek and
Yeah,
then not getting Hurts.
yeah,
That is
definitely.
interesting though, because I've been seeing these quarterbacks fall like to the third round pretty regularly now, and so people maybe are picking up on that. Elite QBs are pretty powerful in this format.
Yeah, either that or yeah, it always seems tough, especially like when you can pair it up with your first pick.
Hmm.
It always seems like, do I really want to risk this correlation with an elite quarterback? Do I want to reach for them? I think it makes sense. I think you can make it make sense. But just like overshooting, picking Mahomes or Hurts early round two with no correlation doesn't necessarily seem that good, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
tried it and I'm not in love with it. It just my builds usually feel kind of weird by the end. You mentioned Garrett Wilson,
Yeah.
right? For division,
Yeah.
I think we'll go with him here. So it's a pretty decent start. I haven't been taking Garrett Wilson in my regular drafts or even the Superflex ones, but I have a reason to here, so we're gonna go ahead and do it. This is from Jewish McCaffrey on Twitter, but just a really good chart. So we're working with Miami right here,
Okay.
and it looks like Buffalo, New England, and the Jets are the teams that we want to target a bit. Does that sound right?
That sounds right. Yeah. And then I guess the one off are those just like single opponents that they play?
It might be,
Like
yeah.
once, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe just strong one off, something like that.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So I guess would you want to stay like just stack and get as many people from Buffalo, Miami, New England, and New York? Is that kind of the strategy you want to go with?
I think so. I saw some people talking about super stacking earlier, and I mean, it's the first day
Yeah.
of the contest out. No one really knows, but it does sound right. So let's see. Devonta Smith. It's funny. Like my brain is so wired into the week 16, 17 correlations. Like I'm not super
Yeah.
familiar with who's in what division. So like looking at these, like, do these make sense? They probably do. Uh, this one, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
and that's when I said when you first picked Tyreek, my first thought was, oh, we got to go with the Jets, and I'm thinking to myself, they're in the same division? Yeah, they're in the same division. Yeah, it just makes you think.
Yeah, and so it'll be fun. Slow drafting this format seems like a really good thing to do. Just to kind of pick it up,
Oh,
and you can
100%. Yeah,
sit down and look at you can if you can really plan out those super stacks within the divisions and maybe a couple other guys that each play those teams, then probably going to have an advantage. But like when the fast drafts, me and Chris were discussing how if you make your pick, if you think that you make your picks better in the 30 seconds, I guess, or if you
yeah,
use those 30 seconds to make better decisions than the rest of the field in their 30 seconds, then you're probably going to have an edge anyway. And here, that's probably even bigger. But I do think we need some slow drafts just to get in there and see what kind of combos are attainable and what looks good. So, teams am I looking for? Buffalo, New England, and the Jets. I mean, what are you thinking here?
I know we said no. I know we said no running backs. Do you want
Mhm.
to? Do you want to stretch on Brees Hall? Do you want to?
I'm
Do you
thinking
want to
about
reach
it.
for
I think
someone
it's
else?
Brees Hall or Mark Andrews. What do you think? 2 seconds.
I say let's go. Let's go, Mark Andrews.
Oh no, I missed it. Oh, I missed it, dude. Oh, that's
Who to pick?
disappointing. I misclicked. It gave
Uh,
us Josh Jacobs. So, well,
all right, there we go. No worries.
so
We
starting a Vegas stack. Let's see with Vegas, Chargers, KC, Denver.
What's it?
It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Seems like a pretty good division for shootouts.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I guess that's could also be the case of like you have like I mentioned earlier in the stream, you have a bunch of little mini stacks,
Hmm.
and you may not be able to get a bunch of guys from Buffalo, for example, but you might be able to get a lot of people from the Raiders and Chargers or something like that, and you could build some stacks that way.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I guess we'll try and build out two different divisions here. See how that goes.
Mhm.
So look,
And it looks like we have a question here from Swaggy. He says, I understand matchups are very important, but what does that matter if you draft a team just off matchups and that team doesn't even make it far because you draft the entire team off matchup correlations?
so in this format, the matchups weekly matter because if you play DFS, then you understand that we game stack because they're correlated. It makes us have to get less things correct. So in this format, game stacking is definitely more correct. And then in like regular Best Ball Mania, where we're dealing with the playoff weeks, why are we stacking so heavily week 15, 16, 17? Like we still have to advance out of our pod, right? Well, if we're drafting, like if you're
Yeah.
drafting a lot of teams like I am, I'm going to have a few hundred teams by the end of draft season. And it doesn't matter which one or two of my teams make the finals. It's going to be set up to take advantage of those playoff week correlations. And so I understand it's kind of weird. Like, why do we care about finals? Like, we have to get there in the first place. But it's like you can't guarantee which team's going to get to the finals, especially with the playoff weeks. It's pretty random. So I think you
Yeah.
just set up every team so that no matter what team gets to the finals, you're good.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm doing the same thing pretty much, just I would be comfortable knowing none of my teams get through to the playoffs if I stack and do well versus I have a bunch of random teams they make to the playoffs and just completely bomb because there's no correlation, there's no nothing else. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah. All right, let's see.
Uh,
Let's not miss it this time.
yeah.
I'll let you pick. I'll let you pick again this time.
I'm gonna queue up these guys just in case. But do you have a preference between these five receivers?
Uh, I'm like ridiculously high on Christian Kirk,
All right,
so
that's fine
let's
with
go
me.
with
That
that.
was my top pick anyway. So now we have a
Perfect.
Jacksonville correlation. So let's see. So basically, we're gonna try and just work out of these three divisions, I think.
Okay,
All right. So this is gonna be a very heavy AFC team.
there we go. Bet AFC playoff, AFC to win the Super Bowl.
I'm down.
And Swaggy says he was actually talking about the regular Best Ball Manias. So,
Yeah, yeah. So that's the idea with like the week 15, 16, 17 matters so much there. Maybe it's either if you break it down with math, but it's something like a single point in the first round, just with your 12 draftees, whatever, is worth,
Mhm.
I don't know, like 12 cents or something, where a single point in the finals round is worth over $1,000. So maybe that doesn't help illustrate it without seeing the numbers, but it just like your points in the finals are so much more valuable than points in the regular season.
Mhm.
And again, yeah, you have to get there, but if you're still drafting your guys, drafting the correlation with those guys, then you should be fine.
Okay.
Now, with our next pick, what teams are we targeting? Houston, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Buffalo, Miami, New England, Denver, KC, Chargers. Okay.
Basically every team except people who are at the top of the draft board right now.
Yup. And my Spike Week extension didn't even load, so we don't know how many team stacks we're going to have with everybody. Man,
That's
DJ
fun.
Moore is usually the guy I go with
What
here.
do you think about? I'll wait till after you make your next pick. Who were you thinking?
Well, DJ Moore is usually my auto pick here, but I'm trying to figure out if any of these guys, if I have a reason to draft any of these other guys. Well, I don't know. If nothing, if you don't give me something, I'm just gonna go with DJ Moore probably.
I'm trying to. I'm just looking at the division matchups here. Do we want to go? No, I don't think we can have anyone in that division. No, I think we can go with your pick, DJ Moore.
Yeah, like so we do want to stack these games, right? But
Yeah,
I don't know. You can since we're not worrying about that week 17 correlation, honestly, if you're only doing a few drafts, just take your guys. Like to anyone
yeah,
watching, just like whoever you're high on, just take them and then figure
I
out
know,
the
and I like
correlations
to.
later. Go ahead.
I like to point that the same thing like with like my wife's now doing best ball. She's a
Awesome.
fan, or I think she's just like upset, insane, and she's like, I'm not caring about the correlation. Like I'm not smart enough, and I'm not going to waste all my time doing the correlation. So she's like, I'm going to pick the guys who I think are going to do well around their draft, and she's only doing like 4 or 5. She's not going to go heavy on correlation. She's just going to try and get the most points, and nothing inherently wrong with that. I don't think.
No, I mean the whole point, like, yes, I would like to return an ROI. I'm expecting to not make money this season though. Like the average person is not going to make money in a single best ball season.
Yeah.
The point is hopefully I have an edge if we play best ball for the next 20 seasons. But I mean, number
Yeah.
one, this is supposed to be fun. Like, why do we do this? Because it's fun, right? And
Yeah.
like I think this format is probably better for drafters like your wife, right? Like just pick their
Yeah.
players and the correlations do matter, but I mean it's all random anyway, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Where's the script? All right. Let's see. So,
So
can you go back to your team really quick? I just want to just jot down who you have
kind of a
so
disaster.
far.
Oh, let's see.
Let's see.
Trying to figure out why my spike week didn't load. I would love to see those playoff core or the just the game correlations like I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do this on a stream and doing a fast draft.
It's terrifying. I feel terrible for you right now.
But like, hey, like I just said, this is fun. Either way, we're figuring it out together. If we make
Oh
mistakes,
yeah.
great. We'll learn from it.
Yeah. I mean, I looked. It's only like 0.5% filled or something like that. So we'll have enough entries before it closes down.
Oh yeah, we'll be able to. We should be able to get this up. It says draft hacker ready.
Well, let's see.
All right. So, what
All right. Let's
teams do you
see.
think that we need to be targeting here, Moose?
So we already have Miami and the Jets. So we probably want to see if we can target. Might have to wait a couple rounds, but like the Patriots or Buffalo, since we'll have like the double correlations. We already have Miami and New York. Looking at the teams that are out there now, I don't think we have much of anyone.
Like that Michael Pittman correlates with
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Christian Kirk a little bit.
That's true. Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say probably Pittman would be my top choice here.
Yeah,
Yes, he is.
Pittman. And then I know who I
either
want for our
either
next pick.
is it Traylon Burks?
Man, that is one guy. Like, I'm not consciously out on him, but I think I have like 2% in my overall exposures. I need
Okay.
to. That might be a blind spot. I think I need to just start clicking on him more. Just I'm clicking on Jordan Addison, Darren Waller. Like, I'm picking probably Gabe Davis over Traylon Burks at this point. So maybe I need to adjust my thinking on that.
And for someone who, like you, who's doing hundreds of basketball leagues, if you look when you look at your exposure and you look at guys around similar ADP,
Mhm.
especially in a situation like that, you have a tight end, multiple wide receivers, multiple running backs. Do you look at someone like Burke and you're like, I have 2% for no logical reason? I'm going to just start drafting him, or you're like, all right, well, I have 2%. I'm just going to be overexposed on the other people.
I did that with a few players. If I notice they're really low in my exposures, I can't think of who off the top of my head, but it's like I would start to
Mhm.
add Burks a little bit more if maybe he had some playoff correlations. But there's no Houston players going before Burks except Pierce, and I'm not clicking him either. So at
Yeah.
that point in the draft, I just if I'm drafting mostly for correlation, he never has a correlation with any of my players. So
Okay.
um, I'm not sure. I would like to get that up. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that though. Like what my plan is.
Okay. Yeah. And it could be just one of those. You can't have everybody. So if you only have
Yeah,
2%, you only have 2%.
yeah, and so it's like you see someone's exposures and they're high on someone or low on someone. It doesn't necessarily mean they're low on them unless they, just outright say it. It could just be they prefer someone else next to them every time. Like Cam Akers is another guy I've been trying to get some more of also.
Yeah.
And if we weren't going
Okay.
for this Buffalo correlation, I'd actually probably just take Darren Waller right here. I think he's the last of
Okay.
the elite tight ends. I'm not really too high on Dallas Goddard, but Buffalo, I'm high on Gabe Davis overall. Oh, this is kind of cool. It
There
shows
we
the
go.
average points per week rather than the season. So this is a little bit more information
Oh,
if you expand their stuff right here. It's kind of cool.
okay. There we go. Yeah, I was going to say I have Buffalo marked down as since we have Miami and New York. So yeah, I'm cool with that pick.
And then the New England guys, we already know which New England receiver we're going to be drafting based on how much money they got paid yesterday, or right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Now, one other interesting thing I just see because Dalvin Cook's name is in the middle there. Would you stay away in a weekly winners contest like this of someone who hasn't been signed, D Hop, Dalvin Cook, of just you don't even know where they're going to go, so how can you potentially correlate with them?
Right. I'm personally out on both of those players anyway. And so I'm not sure. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if you think they're a value, then I think you can still draft them, and hopefully the ADP value makes up for lack of correlation. But those two players, I'm just never clicking. Like I think I clicked on Dalvin Cook when he fell to like 105, but I mean I talked about this with I think
Hmm.
Chris or maybe it was Brian. Just what's the difference between Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott and Leonard Fournette?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just the other ones had higher ADP, and yeah,
Yeah, it's like it was a lot of the
yeah. Like
offense that.
I just yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like with Dalvin Cook, it's a lot of the offense. Like he was tied to the Vikings offense. That's why we were interested in him, right? Like Leonard Fournette, like because these guys'
Exactly. Yeah.
advanced stats were not good. Leonard Fournette got the workload in Tampa Bay pretty much over Rashad White. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly. I would rather much take a stab at the rounds, the super late rounds on people like Lenny or Zeke
Mhm.
when potentially wasting a 7 rounder on Cook. You don't even know if he's going to get signed, where he's going to get signed.
Right. And the other way to think about it too, like if Cook gets signed, what teams can he get signed to where he becomes a value where he's going now around this pick 80? Like, is there any team he signs to where he
Exactly.
jumps up to the 40s, 50s? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. No.
So one of the things I saw, like we did get our anchor running back. It would have been sick to get Ramondre on this start. That's probably a pretty good start if you can get Garrett Wilson to fall to number 20. Tyreek, Garrett
Yeah,
Wilson, Ramondre, get all division guys. Um,
that would be sick. Actually, yeah.
I think I kind of want to get. Well, we're going to go for Tua. Hopefully, he's still there, and then
Okay.
draft another receiver. I think, and then just probably just pound running backs and tight ends to close it out. Right?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
What do you think about that? Are you buying into the drafting like 3 late round tight ends, just kind of punting the position?
I think it really all depends on who falls to me. I was talking in another chat, and I was like, man, I don't know if I like this or not. I was waiting and waiting, and Lamar fell. I think it was like the fifth round. Lamar fell to me, and I was like, oh well, I got to pick him. And then I followed it back up with Kittle for a little bit of playoff correlation, and I was like, all right, well, like in something like that, I don't mind it. But generally speaking, I'm waiting and just hoping that out of these three or four scrub tight ends, they can give me 1 or 2 weeks each and take care of me through.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Darren Waller is actually my highest drafted tight end right now. I don't know how that happened. Then it's guys like Hayden Hurst, Mike Gesicki, Tyler Conklin. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I have a lot of Gasecki. Yeah,
and
just so
Gesicki,
late, so cheap, and for someone to for someone with such a huge potential role over in Miami, like I love getting Muzzy in like 15, 18 rounds, something like that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're gonna try to tack him on at the end here if we can.
There
Because
we go.
Juju is the other New England correlation we could go for, but I'm trying to stay away from Juju right now. I have too much, and then the DeAndre Hopkins stuff kind of makes it a little bit weird too.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I'm actually looking at my exposures across different things, and it looks like my highest exposed tight end is Dulcich for Denver at 20%. So I should probably get that fixed.
He's up there for me too. I look at him in the same bucket as like Higby, Chig, and
Yeah.
there's one more. I can't remember who the other one is, but there's like 4 guys in that range that I think are pretty solid, especially if you pick up 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And it always seems like I don't know why, but I'm always getting some sort of New England correlation. And I know they play Denver week 16, 15, something like that. And so it's like, oh well, if I just need to tack on some extra like second degree correlation, I know him. I just pick him.
And that's another thing I saw talked about too. Like a lot of my correlations are from late rounders, little mini stacks, and I think it's great. Rashad Penny and Amon Ra was the mini stack that won BBM2, and they were both late round picks. Amon Ra's rookie year, and so if you can
Nice.
find like the nut combo like that, then obviously you're going to have an advantage.
Yeah, and you can take shots like that. I think we talked about it last time we were on stream, where rounds 15 to 20, depending on which site you're playing on, you can just take a bunch of different stabs, and if you have 5% of 50 different guys, all you need is one of those to break it out
Mm-hmm.
during the playoffs, and you're looking really good. And I wouldn't necessarily, unless it's someone is getting workload, I necessarily wouldn't put too much exposure on those guys and just pick a bunch of random people that have that opportunity and
Mm-hmm.
hope one of them works out.
I like it. Yeah. Trying to figure out what to do with this pick because this is kind of a weird one.
Yeah, the first time. Do we have a tight end yet? I don't know if we've picked
No,
one yet.
no tight ends yet. Do we want to? Were
Do
you thinking
you
about Evan
do you
Ingram?
want to go with Ingram?
I'd be
Yeah, I
down
was
for
thinking
it.
about that.
Yeah, I'd be down for it. Even though we don't have Trevor Lawrence, I'm okay taking 2 players from the same team. Let's get Evan
Okay.
Ingram here. Like it's so funny seeing these. Like he averaged 8 points and 5 points, and we're drafting him before pick 100. Like everyone's gonna be low. It's half PPR, but it's pretty funny
Yeah.
to see um, like Dawson Knox, dude. They average the same thing, and Evan Ingram's going 80 picks ahead of him.
Yeah, it's weird sometimes, especially when you're looking at ADPs. You're like, I don't understand why this is happening. It's
Mm-hmm.
just very confusing. And I imagine a lot of people just go, "Oh, this person's ADP 100 or 80. I have to pick him because he's ADP," and it's one of those things where it just keeps spiraling and spiraling.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys that I just do not understand how their ADP is holding up. Debo Samuel, like, I don't get it. I'm completely out on him. There's a couple other guys too, like even Calvin
Mm-hmm.
Ridley. How is he still staying up? I get he was good, but I mean, Christian Kirk is right there.
Yeah, it's I don't yeah. Some of these ADPs just are very weird and very odd to me. So it's always interesting to see when we go into a new contest like this where the ADP basically gets reset, like kind of I kind of like to gauge it. Obviously, you have to figure out how the contest works, if anyone's ADP is going to move. But like just looking at the Best Ball Mania and then the ADPs for this, it's like, oh, it's moved some. Is this going to move in Best Ball Mania, or is it just because people are playing this contest differently?
Right, right. It's like it, and even if people are playing it mostly the same, it's interesting to see. Like even in the Superflex contest, some of the obviously the ADPs are going to be different, but just where some of the players are going within their positions. Like I understand the running backs and wide receivers are going to be valued slightly different in this range, maybe, but like to see certain receivers above, like Jacoby will go before Odell or Zay Jones before Odell or something, where they're this far apart in the other drafts. It's another interesting thing to pay attention to, also.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, should we start drafting some running backs? Are there any receivers here that really stand out?
Uh, Not really. No, I'm high on Juju, but there's no way he's going to last 6 picks. Just looking at our correlations chart here, if there's anything we would want to pick. No. I mean, we could try and get. I mean, we talk about Buffalo players. Do we want to get Damian Harris and super stack that whole division?
Yeah, I think that's my number one pick right now. If he lasts 2 more picks, is Damian Harris, and it's awesome too because we get the week. They both have a week 13 bye. Him and Josh Jacobs are 2 top running backs, and 13 down here also. So I think that works out pretty good. We'll
Okay.
try to stick to these bye weeks. I guess we kind of spread it out a little bit more than I thought we would, but. Damian Harris. I would have considered Lazard if I thought we had a chance of getting Aaron Rodgers with our next pick, but no, I'll just go with Dame. 6 strong receivers. So looks like AFC East is definitely obviously our main stack. We have players from every team in this division except New England, but we're definitely going to get at least one New England player in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if you go back to that chart, are there any one-offs that any of those other teams, that any of those AFC teams have in common? I don't think there is, but
There's a little bit of overlap with the players we have already, like Miami, the Jets, Vegas, Buffalo.
Okay. Okay.
Jacksonville. There's a little bit of overlap. I'm interested to see if someone will like really run it and kind of put out a really clean chart of. I mean, I don't even know how you would do it. There's not much data to go off of. Just, I guess, like what are the strongest correlations so that everyone starts going for those, and then we can scoop up the ones right behind that for a little bit cheaper. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm sure someone will have something up pretty soon for it. And then I imagine Brian will tell me, "Oh, Moose, you need to make a calculator for the website for this." All right.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be I don't even know how you would do it, but could be just add division to the stack seeker.
Yeah. I'm sure we can
Let's
figure something out.
see. So I have an idea of who I'd like to take with our next pick, and I'm not sure if it's the best to do based on just lineup construction overall. But I'm thinking about Chig. Get that Tennessee Houston correlation since we have Jacksonville kind of heavily stacked with Indianapolis, and then
Okay.
Tennessee and Houston. We get, week 15 and 17. Obviously, a lot of these teams are going to have 2 games against each other, but just I think this is the best player left in that
works for me.
Tennessee team. So Tennessee, I'd be interested. Like maybe if we had Trevor Lawrence, would you ever go Zay Jones as our third Jacksonville receiver? Or is that probably too much even in this contest?
Yeah, like I said, my first thought was like sometimes you see it in like the small slates on DraftKings, the playoff weeks of 4-3 stacking a game, 4-2 stacking. So I wouldn't be completely opposed to drafting 3 wide receivers from the same team because maybe not from Jacksonville. I don't know if Jacksonville can put up the number of points and spread it out as much, but maybe like Kansas City, a Cincinnati, Buffalo, where you know they can put up 50 across 3, 4 different people to get you the weekly winner. I think that's where you can do it. But the ones that, you know, Jacksonville, what's their realistically what's their ceiling? 30, maybe 40.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Let's see here.
Probably tack on one
I'm
of the
curious.
Miami
Has
running backs.
yeah, let's go with that. That works for me. I was gonna say, can you pull up the draft board? I'm curious if anyone else is kind of doing anything similar with stacking either teams or divisions. Let's see.
Tell you, Ultra is not.
Mhm.
Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago. The one slot is
I feel
not.
like a couple people are doing something. Yeah, looks like some people are doing some correlation, kind of, but like within like same team people. But I don't think anyone's really taking it to an extreme.
No, this guy got Jamar with 2 Pittsburgh players, the 2 slot. It's the only one I noticed right away. So it'll be interesting. I wonder if that'll ramp, if more people will be doing that once the contest's been out for a little bit. Maybe someone puts out some information on Twitter on just a quick, how to attack this if it's your first time, something like that.
Yeah, and so what do you think about in new contests like this? I know, like, what was it last week? They did the Superflex Chihuahua, but anytime they do something new, and I know Superflex has been around for a while, but anytime they do something like off the beaten path, do you attack it like right away? I think I know I can create an edge better than everyone else can in the first hour of something dropping or the first day of something dropping. So I know that in theory I should have an early edge. Or are you waiting, gather as much information as possible, and wait until later when you have like a concrete mathematical edge for it?
I really like going in there before the ADPs update for new contests that have different rankings. The Super Flex, if they come out with another maybe rookie sophomore contest, or the playoff contest, the playoff best ball contest for NFL and NBA. If you get in there in the first 24 hours before ADPs update, they're just completely wrong. And you can definitely, like, even if you don't have the perfect strategy to draft that contest, the advantage you
Mm-hmm.
get from the ADP values being so wrong, it's crazy.
Nice. Yeah.
Good
So
morning.
because that was so I'll have to do some more drafts on that. Looks like John has a question here. It says, do you think they'll do a 20 max for this? I think this contest is 150 max. That's what I'm
Mhm.
guessing.
Yeah, I'm pretty
So
sure it's a 150 max. It'd be cool if they did a 20 max. I don't see why not. They've been trying different stuff, or even if they do like a lower buy-in 10 max, something like that. That would be great. But the problem with doing 20 max with a contest that wants to give 20,000 to first each week is you have to find that many people, that many more people to fill the contest, right? Since everyone can only enter 20, a lot of the heavy drafters are going to enter 150 in whatever contest they can anyway.
exactly, yeah. Um, yeah, I'm curious if maybe if it fills super quick, like some of the other contests has had, maybe they'll do two 20 max ones or something different. But I think a majority of them are 150, or I've seen a couple of 25s as well. I think the Chihuahua Superflex is 25. So I don't
Last
know. Let
year
us see.
they did a few 10 maxes that were $3 entry each with zero
Mm,
rake, and kind of like I guess it was kind of like giving back to the community, right? And I thought those were
okay.
awesome contests. Like if those come
Oh
out,
yeah.
those should be first priority for most people, even if you're playing with a larger bankroll.
Hmm.
It's really good value.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anytime you can get zero rake on anything, you should definitely be doing that.
Like, yeah, like that's one thing. Like we have to beat the rake. You know, if you break even at the end of the season, then you're a good player. But you just the rake 10
Yeah.
11%. It's really hard. That's a lot of people. Like that's a lot. That's your whole win rate. If you're putting in high volume, 11% would be a good win rate, not including the rake.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can, and especially for smaller bankrolls, if you can chop, let's say if you're doing a bunch of contests and then you do the rake free ones and it averages out, now your rake's only 6 7%. That's 4% more in your pocket.
Yeah, it's like it might not sound like a lot. What's 4% on a $15 entry? Like not even a dollar, but it adds up if you're doing a lot of drafts and especially over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So I want to take a running back, either Singletary or Algier. Singletary gives us more AFC South correlation, and Tyler Algier, the only correlation we have with him is that Week 17 game with Chicago. So I think Devin Singletary is going to be a good pick here.
Okay, let's go with that one.
This is a guy I've been targeting in regular drafts. I think he has standalone value, even if Damian Pierce doesn't go down. Same thing with Tyler Algier. These are two guys that I'm clicking on a lot at this point in the draft. KJ Osborne, my highest. He will be probably my highest owned receiver by the end of draft season too.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I know last year he made a name for himself in a couple games, and so I don't see why not. Why he can't do it again this year.
At first, a lot of it for me was just I want exposure to this offense, and now it's just is everyone so sure Addison's going to get those routes? Like he probably is, right? But KJ Osborne, I think, is still just such a good pick. I mean, if he gives us a couple 20-point spike week, especially in this tournament, if I had KJ Osborne and he gave us a 20-point spike week, it's great.
Oh god, that's huge. Yeah, I think Minnesota's also a team that can get you there in a weekly winner of game stacks where they could probably put up 40, spread it among 3-4 guys, and get you there.
And one thing too, you're going to see, like, if you're playing this contest and you're keeping up with it, like sweating it week by week, you're going to see that the first place team probably a lot of the time didn't stack like this. But the idea is to give us a better chance of cashing or of hitting that top score. So it's not guaranteed that the winner's going to do this. Remember, it's all random anyway. But if we can give ourselves an extra few percent, then it all adds up.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. Let's see. And here's an interesting strategy that I was thinking about, and this is probably terrible, but I just wanted to mention it. What about, like, let's say if you're doing a game stack, you have a huge game stack, and we'll just use. I'm trying to think who's our quarterback now. Tua, injury prone from last year. Would it make sense to draft a Miami backup as like a last pick? Get 4 quarterbacks, that you still get exposure to that explosive offense. If somehow he goes down, you get the correlations there from the backup. Or is that too galaxy brain?
No, I love it. Kind of going back to what I was talking about with just loading up on receiver, elite QB, elite tight end, and then maybe starting at like week or round 11, round 12, just slamming running backs. Like you're going to be bad in the first few weeks, but maybe after week 6 or 7, you have 3 starters from the end of these drafts. If you get those guys right, like you don't have to hit on all of them. You only have to hit on a couple of them. And especially this team, we already have Josh Jacobs. We can assume he's going to fill one of the running back slots most weeks. And so we're just looking for one spike week from one of these other guys. So I really like that idea.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of strategy to think about. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait to do a couple more. I think I'm going to fire up a slow draft after this stream, and
I like it.
Really spend some thought about it.
Yeah, I'll probably add a few slows. My puppy 2s are starting to finish up, so I only have like 15 slow drafts right now. Usually I'll have 30 or 40. So I'm interested to see what my exposures look like at the end. I've been very exposure conscious, I guess. Recently, I'm going to try to get away from that and just draft my guys again for a bit, but if you're drafting a large portfolio of teams, I think it's important to be aware of like where you overweight, where you don't want to be, or underweight. Like you got to check every every few drafts or something.
Yeah, because it could be if you're stacking Minnesota and you're really high on KJ Osborne, but not any other wide receiver in those correlated drafts. You're like, oh, I should probably change that exposure to get some more different running backs or wide receivers for Minnesota.
Yeah, some of these running back rooms are pretty similar in a similar spot too. Like Miami's running back room, like if I'm heavy on Jeff Wilson and Devin Akaney, I don't have that much Mostert, but I need to be aware, like I could be wrong, and you could just go all in and just hope you're right. And if you're wrong, like, oh well, but you want to get a little bit of the other guy, I think. And so, what do you think about Tyjae Spears here?
What are you thinking about?
Oh, who are you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, let's go Spears. But I was going to say, I didn't know if we wanted to get running backs or wide receivers. I was thinking about, what do you think about Mims? Get some extra correlation there with the Raiders, but that works for me. I think we have 7 wide receivers already.
Yeah, we're pretty strong at receiver. I might see if we'll end up tacking on an eighth, but this is a really strong receiver room, even with Nico Collins at the end. We have two
Yeah,
hopefully mid-range tight ends. We have our hopefully elite Tua if he I don't know, he had a few games last year. If he just keeps that up for a whole season, doesn't get hurt, then should be elite.
yeah.
Mims, Pat Crane, the winner of BBM3 last year, I think he recently said Mims was his highest drafted wide receiver, so something to think
Oh
about.
wow. Okay.
He's one of my lowest.
That's never a good thing. You're like, oh, this person's really good at best ball, and we have
Hmm.
completely different outcomes. That's
Yep. Yep. Either I'm very right or I'm very wrong, and probably lean towards him being more correct than I am since he won.
guy. Yeah, 100%. Let's see here. So only the one quarterback and not that many tight ends. Um, who do you think we should target next? Who should like what quarterbacks are there that you're looking for to get?
Um, Quarterbacks, we could go for CJ Stroud since we have that Tennessee and like yeah, we target Tennessee, Houston in regular best ball because they have matchups in 15 and 17, but here we're still going to target them because they play each other twice, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, God, that's such a
Um,
nasty thing to say. Let's go CJ
yeah,
Stroud.
CJ Stroud, Mac Jones could be a good one too since we have the Buffalo Miami Jets correlation is pretty strong, so Mac Jones would be a pretty good one within the division.
Yeah, I'm unusually high on Mac Jones exposure wise, and I need to get that down very quickly.
I think he's either my second or third highest QB right now. Number one is Kyler. Mostert or Jeff Wilson?
Mm.
Well, we went Mostert. I have more Jeff Wilson anyway, so I was leaning towards Mostert.
Yeah, and I think I was just trying to see. I didn't know how much time we had left. Yeah, I actually had more Mostert exposure, so that works for
Nice.
me.
Nice.
This is a solid lineup we have.
Yeah, it's like we didn't want Josh Jacobs, right? But it gave
Yeah,
us just it makes our running back room look so much better because we know we only need one of these guys to put up 12 points a week or whatever it is.
exactly.
How many picks do we have left? So we have 3 picks left. We'll probably take one more tight end, one more quarterback, and one more
Two
running
more
back.
quarterbacks.
So 2 more quarterbacks.
Okay. Uh, I would probably say two more quarterbacks. I feel like you have to be more conscious with. I mean, either way, I think you're. Yeah, I think any format you're screwed if your quarterbacks go down. But
Mm-hmm. This one even
yeah,
more so.
actually, the more you say it, yeah, I think even worse. But you're also not playing really for the bye weeks. Like if you're heavy on a bye week, it doesn't really matter. So I could see going only to, giving yourself two quarterbacks and hoping that you give yourself just a little bit more chance of an extra tight end or wide receiver getting that spike week. I think
Mm-hmm.
the probability of, quarterback getting a spike week compared to a wide receiver is less. So yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go one more quarterback. And yeah. And
Well, now that you said
yeah,
that,
I'm just
I'm
rambling now.
kind.
Sorry.
Well, no, now that you said that, I'm kind of thinking like if we get that third quarterback, it gives us kind of like I've been talking about for the playoffs that just a third chance at a spike week. Like, are we comfortable enough with this tight end room to
Yeah.
stop at 2 tight ends, or do we really want to add on like Gesicki or someone?
Yeah, I think especially since we have Miami, let's go Gasecki if he's
Okay.
still available.
Oh no, he went earlier. Gesicki's gone.
Oh come on. Oh,
How do
they
we
got stream sniped.
how do we feel about Hunter Henry?
Not opposed to it. Not 100. Yeah, not completely opposed to it.
That'll be our last round pick if we do go there.
Okay.
Might
So
just
let's
grab
say, should we get
CJ
Stroud
Stroud.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Just uh, makes a lot of sense for this team. Got Singletary, who probably catches passes, and Nico Collins, who give me 9 targets a game. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta give yourself the opportunity. That works. And then, well, it's like, yeah, a week 4 20K victory with CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. I love it.
It'd be so fun. Someone's gonna have a crazy lineup that wins, and that's another thing I just thought of with the differentiation. Like people talk about getting different in the regular drafts. I think it's probably more important in this draft. Like be more willing to go off the board in your 17 and
Oh,
18th round
yeah.
picks.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it's going to be so interesting. Like you're going to be watching Red Zone and you're going to be like, oh, why is Houston scoring 30 points? How is that going to affect, the people in the weekly winners or, Cleveland? Like any of these bad teams, when they score a lot, you're going to be like, oh, is someone going to win a weekly winner because of that?
Probably, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in the stream. At first, I was kind of turned off by the format, but now that, especially after I've been talking about it through with you, I'm kind of excited to draft more teams for this one. Just a weekly sweat of having money put in my account.
Especially like if you do a lot of entries into it and you are doing a lot of game stacking, you're now really just hoping that a game goes off and now you're worrying about little intricacies. Do I have the right combos of these players? Tennessee goes off, if Buffalo goes off over the 150 max entries, if you do max it, you correlate very, very well. You just need that team to go off, and then in theory you should have the pieces for it.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. And I thought we were kind of screwed at running back right now because I don't really like any of these guys, but uh, Pierre Strong was a thumbnail on today's YouTube. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and just take Pierre Strong, I think. I really want a 6 running back for this team. And if Pierre gets
Okay.
some kind of role, then it's fine. So we have one more
Okay.
pick. And he gives us the New England correlation, too, which is great since we missed out on Gesicki.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to adding any type of correlation.
So it looks like we're very strong in AFC East. We have at least one player from every team. Some teams we have 2. And then AFC South, we also have a player from every team, if not 2. So even though we
Okay.
kind of went off what we were trying to do, I guess, a little bit, I think this turned out pretty well. Pretty happy with the players, with the correlations.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it from the start. We're like, I don't know how we're gonna do. I don't
No.
know if the correlation, but everything's to be behind it, and then we're like, oh, this is a fantastic team.
Well, I thought we were going to have the little number that showed us how many players are correlated with this guy, too, but my Spike Week doesn't want to load. So maybe by the next, if we draft this format in the next draft, maybe we can have that information, and there will be guys from other divisions, other conferences that maybe just randomly have 6 games with our guys, and it's like, okay, well, that's a slam pick then.
Yeah, our team is so good. The Spike Week just said, no, you don't need me for this. No, you're good.
Right. You guys are good. We got 2 sharp drafters. Don't worry about it. I'm thinking about, so third quarterback or third tight end. These are our options. I think I'm going to go
I
quarterback.
was thinking, yeah, definitely quarterback, and I guess you go Mac Jones if he's still there.
I think so. Does Pierre Strong catch passes?
What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
Does Pierre Strong catch passes?
Let me look. From thumbnail, you think I'd know anything about him?
Right. I thought it was Devontae Parker at first. I actually Googled who's number 35 on the Patriots.
Let's see. So last year he had 7 catches and
Okay.
10 carries. So
Okay.
he can get there.
10 carries to 7 catches. That's the highest ratio I've ever seen. Sounds awesome. All right. Really believe in one of these 2 tight ends. Just give us a couple 20-point spike weeks. Should be good. Like we didn't do the buys super good, but we didn't completely fail at that either. A couple of guys have the same bye weeks. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how.
I think it's fine. Like I think that's fine for a weekly winner because it's like, oh, instead of 18 weeks of chances, I only have 14. But you still set yourself up really well for those other 14.
I like that. I just made week 18 isn't included in this, huh?
Oh yeah, I probably should have spoken that before. Yeah, so it's just through 17. Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. They should just throw a bonus week 18 and cover it themselves.
Let's call it, just do like 100K to first, and so you have to root for backup quarterbacks and wide receiver sevens. That would be so sick.
Start drafting. What's that guy's name? Deion Jackson. Um, all right, Mac Jones. It is cool. 3 quarterback,
Perfect.
6 running back, 7 receivers, 2 tight ends. It's not bad. Pretty happy with the running back room. Pretty happy with the receiver room. Tight end for me is always whatever. And I like our quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, yeah. Overall, this is a very solid draft. I like this.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. We have a couple more streams this week for anyone watching. I'm not sure which format we'll draft. I guess it's just up to whoever's hosting that day if they feel like jumping into this or not. I personally haven't drafted a Best Ball Mania team in like 2 weeks, and so I kind of need to just because my current takes are not really reflected in my current exposure. So I want to make sure I draft a couple teams.
Okay.
So like with all these fun formats coming out, like still remember the main contest we're interested in is Best Ball Mania, right? So don't forget to draft
Yeah.
because ADPs change and your takes change. And I think you just want to capture like this week of your takes and then in 2 weeks. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully you know what I'm trying to say.
I know words are hard. Words are hard at the end of the stream. Yeah. No, I understand you.
My brain is scrambled from trying to figure this out, but I'm kind of excited to maybe you're going to jump in a slow draft. I'll jump in a couple slows later, and maybe we can come up with some good, just I guess just insights that we find, and we'll post them in the Discord for anyone interested.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and for anyone else that's out there listening or people in the Discord, I'm curious what your takes are. It's a new format, new draft. So if you have any theories that you want to just run by us, or don't, you don't have to. But the Discord channel is out there for people interested.
Yeah, and if you haven't posted in the Discord before, please post as much as you want. Post the teams you draft, ask for feedback, or even if it's not asking for feedback, say like, "Hey, I like this. Like, I think we should be trying to attack this. Maybe something that we haven't thought of." So I want people to contribute to the discussion in Discord. It's a great community. If you are depositing for your first time on Underdog Fantasy, use the promo code Occupy2, the number 2, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100. $100. That's 4 entries in BBM, or you can max out the Chihuahua. You can throw 6 entries into this and have $10 left over. So a lot of different stuff you can do. Moose, any last words before we get out of here?
Have fun, draft a lot, and I'm curious to hear what takes you all have in Discord. Yeah, that's all for me.
All right. Well, everybody that tuned in, thanks for watching. Anyone watching this on replay later, we appreciate you, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.